It's time to boss up. Fix your credit, girl, get at it, get your bag up. Hit that gym and get back fine. Gon' get the degree. Go, girl, focus on me. Unlock potential that you didn't know you had in you. Let them know now. Oh, girl, it's time to mix it up and get your glow. Girl, I know that you gon' get it. You got so much. Don't let nobody tell you that it's over. I want you to know that, God, you got it, you got it. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You got it, you got it.
So hi guys, and welcome back to Queen's Mindset. Happy New Year. Oh my gosh, what a year 2020 was. But I want to welcome you back to our show. And if this is your first time joining us, I want to tell you exactly what we do here. So Queen's Mindset, we are geared towards inspiring women, motivating and encouraging women from all walks of life. So go right ahead and just go to click down below and make sure you subscribe to Queen's Mindset YouTube channel so that you can get all the videos firsthand as soon as they drop. But here with me tonight, we have two esteemed, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say about these ladies. They're so powerful. These are two entrepreneurs at heart, very passionate at what they do. I have Leah Bourne with me and Cherita Odell. And Leah Bourne, oh my gosh, Leah is an avid entrepreneur. Leah has she's the managing director of the Spanish Academy Barbados, and she also owns She Trades as well. And we have Cherita, who is a real estate agent, and she also is a motivational speaker. So I have the powerhouse with me tonight. So we're going to be discussing entrepreneurship and what it means to be an entrepreneur, a woman in entrepreneurship in this 21st century. So guys, why entrepreneurship?
So do you want to go first?
Sure. I would say this. I was always that child who enjoyed playing Monopoly and wanted to win, like for real. I was that person who, while I was at a job, kept on saying to myself, the rate things are going, I am not getting past X dollars and X cents ever. And if I stay here, even if it's 5-10 years, I could already see the cap on my life, the cap on the figures and where I could go. And also, I am a multitasker. So one job wasn't enough for me. And I found that I ended up being in positions on jobs that handle a lot of responsibility. And because of that, I knew I needed something more to satisfy me. A regular 9-to-5 was not going to do it. Yeah. And also, I'm a little bit, one of my friends called me, what it was? Nonconformist, anti-establishment.
Wow, that's a big one.
The boundaries of having to get to work at this time and that time and do this. Yeah, Cherita was a little, I had to give him back. I don't play around with others, so I had to do it on my own.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, entrepreneurship just made sense. It seems like this was something to do because I work full-time, so I teach full-time. But because I'm always looking for additional streams of money, I always know that there's more that I can do. And entrepreneurship is that avenue that allows me to always do more. Because with any job, and I love my job, but there's always that restriction, right? But entrepreneurship allows freedom that a job can never provide. So that's one of my reasons I absolutely love it and pursued it. Yeah.
Wow. So I had a question that had came in with someone had asked, on average, how many hours a day would you say an average entrepreneur has to work?
Wow. I would that is a tough question because I don't think a clock could define it. Let's put it that way. Because especially in the early stages of a business, every living moment and that business are synonymous. So it isn't that you are working between 10 and 7 and it ends.
Yeah.
The time flies and you're writing notes about what you forgot to do, what you have to do, and okay, and another idea. So it literally becomes, especially in the beginning stages, synonymous with your daily life.
Wow. It's a part of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I watch a lot of the Shark Tank at night sometimes.
Yeah.
And the way that they describe your business is literally like your baby. Is this thing that requires this living force almost that requires time, it requires effort, it requires energy, it requires daily provision like a child. And I think that that's the best way to describe it in terms of the hours. If you know it's a living, breathing thing and you can't really schedule it 9 to 5, although you may want to, because after hours kicking and other things kicking, because you literally know the baby wake up at different hours in the night. That's how your business is the same thing. So trying to schedule it, I think, will always restrict your business. You gotta allow it, especially in those beginning stages, as Cherita said, you gotta allow it that time whenever that time is required.
I like that you said like how the baby wakes up. So how do you find juggle as an entrepreneur? I mean, you do so many other things. How do you juggle, the business, and then you have home, you have you got the right to start a family, all these other things, and then, well, Cherita, you already have your family, and all these things happening. If you're involved in church and any extracurricular activities, like how do you manage all of that?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I am grateful that the real estate business started before I met my man. Otherwise, it won't work out. It won't work out. It was my relationship before the real deal came along.
Okay.
That's the truth. And as a single person back then, it filled every void. You come home lonely, okay, time to add something to the website. Okay, you got nobody to call? All right, simple article. I was in a relationship with my business. So luckily I was able to establish the foundations of it before meeting my husband. And the beauty is that luckily he is an entrepreneur too. So he was able to understand, me giving myself in terms of me sitting down watching, trying to have that quality time he wants. But, let me just send off his email, please. Give me some grace. So you learn to juggle it. It becomes, once again, your life and the business are synonymous, but you then learn to set boundaries. And that to me is very important if you want to be a successful, healthy entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You learn to set boundaries. So after a certain time, family is at the forefront. After a certain time, the phones will get forwarded to voicemail and I will not answer you. It's just that simple. And I think you have to put that in place to make sure that you thrive as an individual and the business can then be healthy as a result.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's really, really good. Also, sorry, let me just commend you because I drive around Barbados, my husband and I, looking at different land and properties and stuff, and we see your signs almost every single where we go.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my goodness, she's all over the place. So we just commend you on that hard work.
Thank you.
Effort, definitely.
Island takeover.
Pardon?
No, I said island takeover, world domination.
Definitely. What you said is 100%. You have to learn to separate when that time comes, right? Because, like, for me, I have a rest day. So I have a day scheduled to rest, a day that I know there's no business, there's no schoolwork, nothing of the sort. I'm just spending time with my family. I'm just spending time relaxing myself. And I think that that's a major part because it can become so consuming that it becomes all you do. And you don't want it to be all you do because you still have these other responsibilities.
Yes.
You may have children that you have, or a husband, or your health. You would have these other responsibilities that you need to take care of. So what Cherita said was really the nail on the head. You gotta learn to schedule. All right, from this particular time to this particular time, or I'm gonna allocate X amount of hours every single day, so that you're getting in your rest, so that you're getting in family time. Because you don't want that you reach your goal, $10,000-$20,000 a month, or whatever your goal is, and then you look and there's no family there. That you neglected your children, you neglected your spouse. So you need to set those boundaries. That's a definite. You need to have those boundaries so that it doesn't become all consuming for you.
So Leah, did you find it challenging at first when you first started to set boundaries?
Yeah, and I found it more challenging when I got married. Like after I got married, because because that came with a whole set of like roles and responsibilities that I don't think I was like fully aware of before. Like I knew them, but when I got into it, it was like, oh, this is for real. So with that, with those new roles, I then had to kind of transition and maneuver and goes like shift, become very, very fluid and shifting to adapt, because it was very, very difficult at first, trying to figure out how everything works together, because it's very easy to like separate and do this, but it was trying to figure out how everything is supposed to be like molded and mended together for my growth and for my betterment and for me to become a better individual, like totally. So yeah, that was very difficult at first.
So Cherita, what advice will you give to someone who is in that place where, you know, where they're struggling, like they want to set boundaries, they start setting them, but then things happen because it's new in the business and money is coming in. And you know, when you see money, most times people think, oh, I can't pass away, I can't pass this up. This is a great opportunity. What would be your advice to someone who's in that space where, you know?
Set the boundaries. Perfect example. I remember going on a trip to Dubai. With my husband, right? And I went grabbing at one more piece of money before I left, because I said, you know what? This money here can help pay the plane ticket. Let me go for it. And I went above all and beyond and you know, doing everything possible to close this deal. Well, guess what? That made enjoying Dubai extremely difficult, especially when you're gone and put what you thought was an upright citizen into a rental to realize that they are a problem. And the entire trip was spent trying to fix things from overseas. So that was a perfect example of you grabbing because you just couldn't put down and get on the plane and shut it off and leave it behind. And it almost threatened to mess up the entire trip. So that is a perfect example of if you don't set boundaries. Also too, just as Leah was saying, for example, Friday is my Love on Cherita Day. So that's the day I watch all my reality TV shows. That's the day I try to do absolutely nothing. And then I kind of know too that Saturday mornings, if I do showings, I stop at midday. And Sundays are my day off. So I would say be deliberate about setting those boundaries, because from a mental health perspective, you will minimize the drama in your brain. And you will learn a real hard lesson if you don't.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So can you describe, both of you, can you describe your typical day as an entrepreneur? I know you guys do a lot of things. So can you walk me through like how you set it up and stuff like that?
Wow. Well, if I take like a typical business day, I am sorry to say I am not the entrepreneur that's up early.
Oh God, I thought it was only me.
That's just a bad habit that I have from college. So, and I would say this: be your authentic self, because yes, all the books and all the videos will say wake up at the crack of dawn and get in the best hours. That has never been me. My objective is just to try to get a good sleep, which is usually hard most of the time. But once I get that good sleep and I'm rolling, I make sure I start business no earlier than 10 o'clock. Sorry, but if I'm doing it my way, I'm going to do it in a way that I'm happy and not resenting the job that I'm doing.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I try to make my business hours from 10 o'clock. I will usually get on the road with my appointments. Let's say I am doing listing appointments where I'm listing houses for sale. I'll try to keep them in the same area. So I might do South Coast today, West Coast tomorrow. And even in that, I set boundaries. I've learned that after doing 4 or 5 appointments a day, I feel as if I am going to keel over.
Wow.
You know? So I set maximum 4 or 5, and that's the end of that. And then I will come home, and the majority of my business life in real estate is on the computer. So going from then until back in the good old days before pre-man, it used to be up until 11 o'clock on the computer. Now we have a man. You try to be respectful. and shut it off. But you know, the reality is, even with the phone, I would try to sneak in an email here and there. So that is a typical day for me. Work in the morning hours and during the day, and all the admin work and emails and so forth in the evening.
In the evening time. What about you, Leah?
Well, on a perfect day, because I work full time, so a perfect day is after I come home from work is when I will work on my business. So I would come home, maybe take like an hour to rest because I teach. So that in of itself like requires a lot of energy. So it would take like an hour when I come home to rest, and then like 4 or 5 hours is what I will put into the business, and that's on a perfect day. But sometimes I gotta cook. The house gotta get clean, those different things. So because like cooking is something that I would do for like 2 or 3 days, so that every day I don't have to be in the kitchen, or every day I don't have to be trying to prepare something. So that's something I do for 2 or 3 days, so that frees up time. So if I do that on Tuesday, I know that Wednesday I have more time, Thursday I have more time to pour into my business. Friday is when I may have to cook again. So I think that a lot of my day just requires scheduling beforehand. So what I do, I take Saturdays to plan my week. So on Saturdays is when I will plan my week, what day I want to cook, which day when I come home from school, which day I want to build the business and work on the business. But that planning beforehand gives me like an overview, like a visual of what my week is supposed to look like, and it kind of keeps me on track from straying, like from watching stuff on my phone too long, or from spending too much time doing something that is not productive. That weekly overview or that weekly plan kind of keeps me on track with what I'm supposed to do. And I think that's necessary, especially if you have a lot going on. Having that plan for your week, I think that's absolutely necessary.
I agree, because for me, when I started business, I was naturally not a planner. I could plan for things that I want to happen for myself, but to have to sit down, I have to plan out everything. I just thought, I know I have to do this, I'll get it done. But that's a lie you tell yourself, because there's so many things start happening, and before you know it, you're pulling so many different directions, and it just doesn't make sense. And when your week ends, you're like, what did I really accomplish? Nothing. Because it's all over the place, right? So then I understand.
And that can happen so easily.
Yes.
That can happen so easily.
Yep.
It's like your body wants to do it, or your mind wants to not be productive. So that can happen so easily.
Yeah, and you start to tell yourself, "Oh, I'm watching this because this is motivation, this is helping me," but it's not really helping you. It's not doing anything for you. You're wasting time. Yeah, that happens. So what motivates you, ladies? What would you say motivates you guys? What's your motivation? Your why?
I try to on my why, because like motivation can be fading, like it. So my purpose, like what keeps me going, or that my why for is just because I'm a Christian. My why is rooted in my belief and in knowing that everything I do is honoring God and giving glory to God. Then despite what I do, I'm going to be passionate about it, because I know that I'm living a life that's pleasing to God in all the areas of my life. And I think that keeps me going past when I reach a goal. Because if I have a goal, I think my way is to retire my parents. All right, so after my parents are retired, what next? But if my way is to bring glory to God always, and even after my parents are retired, there's something else to go after. There's something else to do, because my way is much bigger than me.
Yeah.
So
I like that. What about you, Cherita?
Well, at the start of the business, just before the business started, I watched a program called 3 Wishes on ABC. Very simple program. People went into a town and pretty much heard the residents' different concerns and grievances, and tried to do whatever they could to make their wishes come true. And what I learned from that program is that to make these wishes come true, you needed money. And I always said, no, we talk, let's be honest about it. Let's get real. We talk about giving back. We talk about doing things. And yes, you can do so many things in a way that's service oriented, but also to go even more comfortably beyond that, you need money. And I realized that being in my job, I wasn't going to get where I wanted to be and help as many people as I could if I hustled and did it myself. So that was the first why. But then the second why, similar to Leah, I'm one of these people that believes that we've been given God-given talents. Yeah. And many of us will end up in Westbury Cemetery and Coleridge not having tapped into half of those talents.
Yeah.
And I've always said to myself, listen, if I die tomorrow, I need to die empty, knowing that every gift, everything that I was supposed to do, I tried. I want on my tombstone, she tried. That was the second way. And the third way, when you get children, you kind of know that you want to leave a legacy. The reason that especially Blacks have been struggling to build wealth for so long is that we've not inherited it, you know? So the 15 years that I've been in business so far has just been to try to get on a level playing field so that then I can go higher. Whereas some demographics at the start of your business, you are higher. I want that when my children get to another level, I can say, even if they're not actively in real estate themselves or my businesses, that they can be directors on the companies yielding the fruit from what the businesses do.
Nice.
That's good. Yeah. Because something that I heard Raphael Saul say on that live he did. I don't know if you guys were on that live he did with my husband. Sunday. Something that it just rang in my ears. He said that his purpose is not motivational speaking. It's one of his purposes. But his purpose is to bring glory and honor to God. And I think that entrepreneurship is the same thing. It's one of your purposes. It's an expression of something that you're supposed to do, but it's not the totality of who you are. So I think that was really, really good when he mentioned that. Like that struck me. That struck me when he
that
said
was deep.
And before you go on, Kamisha, I wanted to say that let me clarify what I've said. Don't ever get into entrepreneurship for the money. Because if you do it, you're not going to last long.
That's good.
You have to have a passion behind whatever it is that you do. So I can't sit here and say, morticians making real money, boy. I better get into that business. This is not my passion. And I think that's important for people to know. Don't go bunging after the money as your number one goal, because entrepreneurship is it's about a bit of pain, a lot of pain. So if you go bunging after the money and the passion is not tied to what you are doing, ain't gonna work out.
And I think too, I don't know if there's a question you had because there's a reason. So I think too, like, because your business goes through different stages, if you're just doing it for the money, there will come a stage that you may not be making any money. There will come a stage that is just pouring out, but you ain't seeing nothing coming in. And if you're just doing it for the money, and if you're just doing it for the money, then you're not gonna last. You're not gonna last. It's gotta be a passion of yours. It gotta be something that you want to impact, that you want to have an impact on for you to last through those seasons. Because and most businesses, as they say, don't last or are not profitable in the first 5 years. You gotta be able to make it past those first 5 years.
Those are very crucial. So what would you say is your greatest fear?
I don't like to think on fear. So I don't like, because Job said the thing that I fear greatly has come upon me. So I don't like to think on fear. Like I would be afraid of, like, I used to be really, really afraid of losing a tooth, because to me that just was like terrifying. Like losing a front tooth, walking about missing a front tooth, like to me that was just terrifying. But I don't think on that anymore. So I don't say that I have like a big fear. There are things that I may be afraid of, you know, like rats. Like if I'm in a plane, I don't want this plane to go down. Like, but I don't think on or meditate on fear, because that's not what I want. So I mean, I'm afraid of things, but I don't think on fear. I don't meditate on fear, or I try not to.
And I really have to endorse what you have said. I mean, entrepreneurship is a high risk, how can I put it? you are out there on a limb. Where there's faith, there's no plan B. You don't have time to think about what is not going to work out.
Yeah.
Because as a true entrepreneur, everything that can go wrong usually does. So if you were sitting down there milling over, I'm frightened that I can run out of money. You usually run out of money. Okay.
Yeah.
You see, I've seen in the early days, I saw my bank account doing that hover, the hover, just above zero. So you can't, you have to put on your blinkers like a horse coming out of the gates. Yeah. You have to be so highly focused that when all of the failures are happening, and they will, when the money is disappearing and you ain't seeing none coming in, and it will happen, you have to be so fixated on the end point that there is no fear. You have to be that person that you run in frightened. You run in, but not latching onto it, not letting it overcome you. You are acting in spite of all that can go wrong.
Yeah, I think that's really, really good, because entrepreneurship, a fear would be, your business going under, or a fear may be you losing money. But when you have like the spirit of entrepreneurship, that you allow that to become a part of who you are. As I said, I watch a lot of Shark Tank. Sometimes what may happen is you just need to move to a different business. You just need to start a different business, but you got to allow that to happen. You know what I mean? And a part of that may be one of your businesses going under. Or are you recognizing, all right, well, this idea was not the $1 million idea, but it helped me to see this other idea that is the $1 million idea. So I think a big part of that is having that spirit of entrepreneurship, that if this don't work out, something will work out, because of how I have been designed to cause things to work out in my favor. So yeah.
I like that you said that, because in a time like this where COVID-19, and a lot of business owners out there, some of them are struggling, some of them are blossoming, like this is the element for them. What would be your advice to someone who is, very fearful of what can happen, instead of looking at, what they can do different, how they can actually, build and expand their business and use this as an opportunity to become innovative? What would be your advice to someone right now who is just scared of the fact, because things are really low and it doesn't look like business is going to pick up, and how they're going to really progress in this time?
Well, let me tell you something. As rough as the pandemic has been, right? I am excited at what it has birthed. Well, I have never seen, you talk about getting your hustle on. I have seen people that thought that they were bankers by trade, all of a sudden turn into the best pasta makers, seafood makers.
That's so good.
There's so many micro businesses coming out of this. Yes. What people were once afraid of stepping out and trying, they now have no choice.
Yeah.
And I would say, listen, Macy's started out of a recession. Walmart started out of a recession. Guess what? If you start in a pandemic and you fail, nobody was not expecting anything. If there was one time to fail, it's now. So just start anyways. It's the perfect excuse to just step out and try. Nobody is checking for you if the business falls down. So shut your eyes and step out. That's my advice.
Yeah, that's really good. I think that we are all creative beings, and like Cherita said, the pandemic, I think, birthed a lot of that creativity in people, because a lot of us had become like very complacent, very comfortable in the jobs that we may have had, but then the pandemic happened and something may have happened to your job, and then you remember this passion that you had for art, or you remember this passion that you had for baking or for decorating, and you found that you created a whole thing around that. So I think that because we are creative beings, we gotta allow that creativity to flow in or out of a pandemic. And I think that because of what has happened with COVID and coronavirus and everything with the economy, that needs to take precedence. Like, persons need to see that they can come out of a pandemic better than they went in, because of their own creativity, not because the government gave them a check or because this thing happened. Because of their own creativity, they can come out of a pandemic better than they went in.
I honestly believe that Barbadians are going to come out of this way better because, well, first of all, let me prelude it by saying this. Not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur.
Very true.
You know, it is what it is. So this is not lashing people who have 9-to-5s. But I also believe that there are many people in 9-to-5s who are actually meant to be entrepreneurs, but our system has so trained us and ingrained in us. Come on now, you all know that y'all were taught the same
100%. 100%.
Do good in school. What else were we taught? Get a good job.
Get good grades, get a good job.
And when you get that good job,
ever after.
Hold the job. Hold the job.
Keep it so you can retire and get your pension.
Get your rocking chair and your gold watch at the end. All of us were trained the same way in Barbados. And I think the beauty of this unfortunate experience emerging beautifully out of it is the fact that people will now shift their thinking.
Yeah.
They will now realize that what they had as their hobby was really, should have really been in first place and vice versa. So yeah, I think it's going to realign Barbados into a place that can now grow by leaps and bounds because we're not tied to the proverbial paycheck every 26th of the month.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So what would you say as an entrepreneur? What does your brand represent?
I am heavily focused on women empowerment. Like I love to see women doing what they thought they couldn't do because because I'm shy by nature, maybe timid. So all of this is me doing what I thought I couldn't do. This Zoom, this life is me doing what I thought I couldn't do. And I love to put myself in spaces where I can empower women to do that same thing. I specifically love to do it with women. Not this to men, like I'm not like, but I specifically love to do it with women. So I try to have my brand focused on women empowerment, women development, helping women to become the best version of themselves. Not because I'm the best version of myself, but because I am on a path to that and I am on my way to that. And to be able to impact others to do that same thing, that's what I want my brand to be focused on.
That's good.
I would say my brand is about authenticity. And being your true self. When I first started out in the business, I tried to do business as I was taught to do, as you read in books, as you read other people's stories. I tried to do it how it's supposed to be done. And then I'm like, you know what? Forget about it. I just gonna do me. I'm just gonna project me as me. You either like me or you don't. When I show you around the property, I'm not going to say it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. I will tell you, you see this crack over here, you might want to get a contractor for that. And I just said, I am just going to be real. And I think in doing that was when things took off for me because I can only present me the best way I know how. So from everything, you know, even things like from the marketing perspective, in my day jobs before I was an entrepreneur, people hired me because they thought I had a creative mind. But when I then shared a lot of my visions and ideas within a group of board members, 6 or 7 board members that were way more conservative than I would watch all those ideas get shot down. But guess what? I could do anything I feel like now. So I would say authenticity, being your true self, keeping it real as you speak to persons, admonishing them in love if they're about to do something foolish in terms of selling or renting their house, you guide them. And to me, once it comes from the heart, people buy into that. And more importantly, they tell other people that she all right, you know. She good.
I have to agree, and that's something that I found in both of you: the level of authenticity, and also being as transparent as well. Because I remember when I first met you, Cherita, that was at our networking event, and I thought, okay, this lady, why she looks so familiar? And I remember it's because I saw your face everywhere. But then I was thinking, okay, maybe she might be a bit uptight. Let's see. But then when you presented, I was like, who is this lady? Like, I need to be her friend. So that for me was like, I was like, wow, I just saw your heart there. It was you completely. It wasn't like no fake stuff. It was totally you. And then Leah, I would always see Leah posting stuff all the time. And then they said, okay, I'll jump on her live. And then I saw the level of transparency. Like, I mean, she wasn't behaving like she was annoyed at all or anything. She didn't know it. She said, here, I declared her as I didn't understand it or I don't know it, but she's still encouraging. And I thought, you know, I need to be friends with her too. So I love that, boy. So exactly what you guys said is exactly what I see when I see you. So that's good. That's important. That people see what you say you are when they see you.
Yeah.
As part of your brand. That's good. So then they had another question where someone asked, you know, what is your favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur? But I think you kind of answered that when you guys talked about, you know, having that flexibility and being able to make those decisions and choices.
Freedom.
Like, yeah, freedom.
Yeah,
so I think you answered that
think
one.
I'm on my way to becoming a full-time entrepreneur. As much as I love my job, I'm ready to be full-time.
Oh, wow. Awesome. So my other question is, you know, what has been your most satisfying moment in your business?
For me, if I'm speaking of Spanish Academy, how that started was I came back from Colombia. I lived in Colombia for almost a year. And I came back from Colombia and I'm like, I lived in Colombia for almost a year. I got my university degree in Spanish. I can get a job like this. This is going to be so easy. I'm going to get a job like that. Yeah. I sent my application literally to every single secondary school in Barbados. I Googled all the secondary schools in Barbados, sent my application to every single one and got one response, right? Oh, no. And I did not get that job, right? I did not get that job. But because I knew what it is I wanted to do, I started a bit. That's how the Spanish Academy started. And one of the ideas that I had was to do Spanish clubs at primary schools in Barbados. So I did that. So I called all these different primary schools. No, we don't do that. No, you can't do that here. A whole set of no's. So it was like, this is something that I want to do. So then I had a whiteboard at my house. I created a Facebook page and I'm like Spanish classes. So I took this whiteboard. I had my resources and stuff, and I literally went door to door teaching Spanish all over Barbados because I knew it was something that I want to do. And I think like that experience with my whiteboard, my resources, going door to door, teaching persons about Spanish, like children, adults, whoever. I feel like that experience going all over the island was one of my best experiences in entrepreneurship because it just really taught me that if it's something that you want to do, even if you get no's, you're going to find a way to get it done because this is something that you want to do. So for me, that was definitely one of my best experiences in entrepreneurship.
Oh, that's major. And no shyness there at all. Because you go to somebody's house and knock and then share with you. Wow. That's big. That is major. That's a lot.
Yeah.
What about
I would say, for me, real estate, for me, first of all, you have to understand the industry. This is an industry where you would not have seen a lot of people like me at all. At all.
You do it different.
At all. I mean, even from in terms of the demographic that mainly dominated the industry.
Yeah.
And also from the perspective of it is an industry in which you had agencies and very few. And for you to become an agent, you had to be in one of these agencies, which only probably had 3 to 7 people on average. Wow. And so you do the math. You becoming an agent was not a common occurrence. So to say that, you know what, you are forming your own agency and doing it by yourself is madness. But in spite of that, to then be honored by your peers, I would have received the George Ramsay Memorial Award last year. Oh, nice. Essentially the agent of the year, and I would have been nominated by my peers.
That's good.
And that was so satisfying because I felt like, wow, y'all understand, y'all acknowledge that struggling and fighting and giving it my all. So that felt good to know that my peers saw that hard work. So I would say that has been the most soul satisfying thing for me. It means that everything that I have put in, it is outwardly obviously visible.
Yeah.
And not only that, they're willing to give me a clap. And in our industry, people don't give you claps too often.
Oh, yeah. Wow. All right, so we're coming close to the end. So I have to ask these last two final questions. And the first one is, how do you deal with making difficult decisions?
Well, I would start by saying, let me tell you something, right? In this industry that I am in, it is one of the sharkiest industries in the world. I'm not just saying that. You're talking big money, high stakes. It can get, there's greed, it can get vicious. Whether you were a spiritual person before or not, real estate will increase your prayer life. Right? So go on and I like this. Look, I have had to pray deals into being. I have had properties that were about to sell, and then you realize that one person, wait, how come his name wasn't on my listing agreement? Where he come from? And all of a sudden the partner doesn't want to sell anymore for sentimental reasons. And you have to pray for 5 months that he wakes up and gets it, and then watch it come into fruition. So I can be honest with you, my prayer life, thanks to real estate, is closer to where it's supposed to be, because that is the only way. And another thing, I can't make you buy a house. Right? When I bring you to a property, I have to pray that your felt needs and desires are somehow met by this house, and let it go. I can't make you buy it, no matter how many pretty adjectives I use. You know? So that a lot of in my business, a lot of it has been, look, God, try and handle that, yeah. Or I didn't know what to do, so fix it, Jesus, fix it. So to be honest with you, that is how I deal with difficult situations. Let it go.
Let it go.
Yeah, same. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Like I think that the same thing. It requires that conversation with God. And then what he does, sometimes he may lead you to someone else that's in entrepreneurship or that's in a similar business that had a similar occurrence and can walk you through it. But when it comes to challenges and dealing with difficult situations, I always go to God first, because it's a recognition of my frailty, is a recognition of my weakness, and knowing that I don't have it all sorted. But that's okay, because I can go to God and he can get it all sorted out for me. So for me, that conversation, I just stay in that place. Not just when I finish my devotions again and I leave God, you know, on the couch in my office, but staying in that place of being devoted to what it is he had to say in response to me. I think that for me, I do not know any other way to deal with a challenge or to deal with. I literally don't know any other way. I don't want to know any other way either. I think that's the best way
to really do that. Wow. Okay. So we have some more questions. How do you define success? Now, we talked a lot about entrepreneurship, what it means to you, what it means to be an entrepreneur, but how do you really define success?
I define success by just walking out what it is you're supposed to do on this earth. If I'm living a life in my purpose, then I'm successful. I don't define success by my bank account or by what the world deems to be success. Once I am walking out what God has put me on this earth to do, then I am successful. And it's that simple for me. So even if I change businesses, even if I have to leave Barbados and do something else, even if I leave my job, once I am in the purposes of God, doing what he has called me to do, then I'm successful, full stop. That's it for me.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes. That's it right there. You see, the world defines success as in you got a big car, you got your Lamborghini, you got your double story, your 2-story house, you got your I would say that being in the job that I'm in, if ever I had a different definition of success than I do, it would have brought me back to earth real fast. I'm in a business where the very luxury homes that people aspire to, I have seen them become nooses around people's necks. Wow. I've gone to a $4.5 million mansion and seen the owner, who is now an empty nester living on her own, isolated in the master bedroom with a fridge because the house is too big.
Wow.
And I'm like, wait a minute, we were told to aspire for all these things. Wow. And I am seeing people who have all of them and they're not happy. And, you know, that helped me really solidify what success is to me, which is, as Leah said, pretty much tapping into the zone. As I said, in somebody, there's artistic talent. In somebody else, there is surfing. In somebody else, there is whatever. But if you ever try to go off course of what is in you, you will constantly be frustrated and you will never, ever feel fulfilled. To me, true success is tapping in to the God-given purpose. He has deposited something different in each of us. And let me tell you something, even if you are the person selling candy at the side of the road, if that is something God put in you and you have achieved it, you are highly successful. And that is something that the world has not taught us. It's a paradigm shift from all that we've seen all our lives, and people struggle with it. But that indeed is success, tapping into what you have been created to do.
Yeah, I just want to add to that too, like, because as she said, the world has placed this definition on success. So a lot of people are miserable because they don't see themselves as successful until they reach this particular goal. And then when they get to that particular point, they're still not happy because they weren't pursuing it. They were pursuing it instead of something greater than them, right? One of my favorite examples to look at is King David in the Bible, when God said that he fulfilled his full purpose, that he did all he was supposed to do on the earth. And King David was not a perfect man. You know, King David
definitely not.
he was not a perfect man. But he fulfilled the full purposes of God on his life. And one of the reasons that he was able to do that is because he never strayed from God. He always stayed close to God. Even the kings after him that would change and neglect God, David always stayed close to God. And I think that that's why he was able to fulfill his full purpose, because he knew who his source was and he knew where he was supposed to be. And once you're in that place, you're successful. You know, once you're in that place, you're successful, and it's eternal success. It will last beyond your death. And I think that is what really matters. That is what will really sustain you.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. So how important is it to have self-development, to have continuous self-development as an entrepreneur?
You can never, ever believe that you have arrived. If you ever get to that point, shut down your business and think, okay, I did it. I've been there. There's always something more to learn. And remember, we were talking about literally tapping in to your gifts, but not only that, like bringing them out to the fullest. How else can we do that without, I'm always watching different types of videos, always seeing other persons who have walked the walk and talked the talk before, and see what pitfalls to try to avoid. You should constantly be seeking after just learning and activities, workshops, seminars, and events that can help open your mind to and take it to another level. Because once you get to the point that you feel that you know it all, there will be somebody else who knows more. You should always be striving to be the expert in your field. And that requires having a vast amount of knowledge and experiential growth. So constant development is key.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that every single day you should have time allocated to personal development. Whether that's 30 minutes, whether that's in your car listening to audio, when you get home, you watch a video on YouTube, whatever that looks like. But I think that every single day you should have time allocated to develop personally, because as Cherita said, we never know everything. And if you ever reach a point where you feel like you know everything, that you haven't learned anything. Because if you have learned anything, it's that you don't know anything. So for me, I'm always listening. You want to have mentors as well, people that you listen to, right? I'm always listening to mentors, to coaches, doing personal development every single day, because I understand that as much as I think I know, I still don't know anything. Solomon said, vanity, vanity, it's all vanity. And Solomon was the wisest of them all. And he recognized that as much as he knew in all his wisdom, he still didn't know anything. So I think that you always have to be allowing, putting yourself in environments and in spaces that you are always learning, and having that humility to always want to be learning from other people, even if you don't see that individual as someone that's greater than you or higher than you, knowing that everyone has value, everyone has something to add to your life, and allowing yourself to learn from every experience, and for individuals that you encounter.
Oh wow. Oh my God, this is good. I'm like, I'm supposed to be wrapping it up, but more keeps coming on the time. But I want to be respectful of your time. So what I will do is just ask you guys before we close out to just, give some advice to that entrepreneur who is already in the field, already building and established and stuff. But right now things are a bit rocky. Advice in that case. And also for that person who just started in the business and they've been birthed through COVID, and they're not sure, they're uncertain as to how to really keep going, advice to keep them going. And then someone who is also on the sideline, who's thinking about it, but they're very fearful because of what they're looking at, like seeing what things could be and seeing all the negatives and not seeing how they can actually go ahead and be successful in that area.
What I would say really quickly, something that I trained our team on Sunday, is that you have to see yourself as a successful individual in the space of your business, right? Because as we said, there are different things that are going to come about in the challenges and everything that will come about. But once you see yourself as an individual that will thrive in this field, once you see yourself as an individual that's worthy of the success that you may desire, even if it's worldly success, not going by our definition, but you want to reach a particular ranks in your business, or you want to have a particular goal set for your business, if it's a sales goal or whatever it is, you got to see yourself as the individual that's worthy of that. Because a lot of us don't see ourselves as six-figure earners, or we don't see ourselves as successful people in the definition of our business, because maybe it's not something that we were told. But once you see yourself as the individual that can achieve this goal, that can get this done, doesn't matter pandemic, it doesn't matter challenges, it literally does not matter, because you know that you are fully capable of achieving what it is that you want. You're fully capable of leaving a legacy for your children. You're fully capable of having a six-figure business. You're fully capable of doing that because of who you are, despite what's happening around you. And I think that will last past challenges, that will last past ups, that will last past downs, because you see yourself as this individual that's worthy of this goal that you have set for yourself, and you don't see yourself as less than anything else or anyone else because of the value that is in you. So yeah, that's it for me.
Oh wow.
I would say three things that probably could be applicable to all those categories that you called out. Number one, identify your strengths. There's something about you that people have always told you that you're good at.
Yeah.
It could be from making sweet bread to braiding hair to you could eat a good face, girl. There is something that people say about you over and over again. That is an indicator of what might be where your true earning potential might lie, number one, and where your passion is. Number two, Habakkuk 2 verse 2 says, write the vision down and make it plain. Okay? Write the vision down, write down the idea, write down what you would like to achieve in with this idea, write down and start small. Thanks to COVID, we started real small. Write down a 3-month goal, a 6-month goal, and a 1-year goal. Just start with them to begin with. And then number 3, here's the big one. You ready for it? This is major. This is mega. Start. Just start.
Just start.
I have met someone already who designed one of the best platforms that could have marketed a product. He spent about a year tweaking it, website design, adding the SEO, colors, and then, blew the idea out of the water. One of the best ideas ever. And I couldn't understand. And you know what he said? It just wasn't perfect. And I'm like, who cares? Start. A lot of us have the most brilliant things in us. And the fear of starting, well, I got to register, I got to think what I got to get, I got to do the NIS too, just start. And all of those things will come to you along the way. Even how to guide the business. God will whisper to you, not that way, sweet girl, go back that way. Things will happen to go wrong that okay, definitely not up, but down. Start. Just start. And it has a way that if it is truly for you, you will be nudged into where you are supposed to go. But you know what? Start.
That's really good.
Oh, wow, that's good. That's good. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much. It was definitely a pleasure and a privilege to have you guys here tonight. Oh, I learned so much. I hope that you guys who are tuning in, you are taking notes, and you have a lot to learn from this and share with a friend. But remember, before you go, just go right down below and remember to hit that subscribe button and subscribe to our channel so that you can get all of our videos. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
Bye.